The balance of freedom with human existence is an inherently challenging task all must wrestle with. We desire to exert our will and move unconfined at every turn, yet cannot escape the constant barriers and structures juxtaposed to absolute freedom. This is ever so apparent in the system of society and its structure we inherit for our lives once we are born. We are pushed into an assembly line that conditions us to develop a restricted lens of what life is and who we are. We develop from birth within the confines of culture, country, and family. We are handed an identity to step into. Eventually, many of us ask the most obvious yet unspoken questions. Is there not more to life? And am I not more than this? It is our unlimited potential shaking the cage around it, our infinite essence clamoring to taste its unrestricted and unconfined existence in the flesh. The human form itself is a container of confinement. As magical as it may be, our experience is limited to our current level of sensory perception. What we can process is a product of our physical containers. These necessary limitations to our experience as a human, and that are ingrained in all forms of physicality, create an existential dilemma in us all. We seek an unbounded freedom, which is our core state of existence, that is not attainable in the physical. Many of us form a type of spiritual resentment to our existence in physical bodies. This resentment is present in our feelings of frustration, helplessness, dissatisfaction, hopelessness, depression, purposelessness, and contempt for life. Society can be the justifiable scapegoat for who to blame for much of our resentment and dissatisfaction with our circumstances. But there is a deeper dilemma within us all. The external matrix is a reflection of our internal matrix. The societal systems we loathe and that confine our existence are an outward representation of our own struggles between our physically limited selves and our infinite beingness. Most physical, societal, and cultural structures are created to create a sense of safety, comfortability, convenience, understanding, and/or functionality for the human experience. The physical self requires that structure to exist. It is necessary to provide boundaries that ensure not only survival, but the ability to thrive and function efficiently. However, the infinite self is confined by structure. This polarization is playing out all of the time. When one side dominates the experience, it becomes distorted and an aspect of you is neglected. Too much structure stamps out the freedom of movement and spontaneity needed to honor the infinite self, while too little structure can be chaotic and disorienting and fail to provide a framework for the physical self to achieve a satisfactory and fulfilling experience. We must find harmony between them both in order to reclaim our creative power as human beings. The experience of freedom is thus a dance. It bounces between boundaries, using structure to form a sequence of steps, always with enough spontaneity to choose a change of pace or direction. It is the harmonizing movement that establishes balance between the physical and spiritual self. It is where they converge and we experience flow and natural technique, when they create together without resistance. This harmony occurs when we do not resent structure, but embrace it as a catalyst for creative expression. Freedom only has purpose and meaning if there are parameters it must exist within, and boundaries or structure that create opportunity for freedom to be exercised. These things facilitate the action/movement of responding to circumstances, which is when freedom matters most. Although we are beyond all limitations, structures, and boundaries, these things are necessary for experience in the universe. Perhaps each structure of confinement we experience is an opportunity for new expression to emerge, for freedom to lead the way to new possibilities, to discover ourselves in new ways. Maybe we can learn to embrace what limits us and confines our experience, so it may propel us to new creative heights. Perhaps this is the role freedom has always played. It is the choice not to succumb to the limits and necessities of structure, but to use it as a template for launching a creative process. This is, essentially, the purpose of experiencing form. Reconciling this dissolves resentment and opens us up to experience an intimate relationship with our bodies and reality. As we experience more intense pressure during these times to conform and confine ourselves to narratives, belief systems, and dramas at play, I feel it is important to not allow ourselves to get pulled into the false dialectic of freedom versus confinement. We do not need to consent to that reality. We are beyond it. This applies to all of our relationships as well. Although the tempo and rhythm of reality is changing, we still have the ability and awareness to navigate the dance with as much freedom as necessary to achieve the creative process we came here to experience. Only our perceived limitations can hold us back and keep us from experiencing and embodying the limitlessness of our free and structured creative experiences.